Hey, welcome back to Silver Bull channel. Welcome back, subscribers and viewers. Just talking about an interesting thing that is on some of the conspiracy channels, as it were, that they may be thinking of invading Iran now that they've finished with Libya. There's a number of benefits. Number one, the Strait of Hormuz here, where a vast majority of the world's oil goes through, would be shut down, pressing oil prices into the stratosphere, making the US dollar being the world's reserve currency for oil being worth a lot more and fixing their problems, at least temporarily, with the US dollar. And it would also make the oil supplies from Libya and the Iraqi supplies that go over through gas pipelines through Turkey and stuff like that worth a lot more. And certainly the companies who own those oil supplies would make an absolute killing. So for a long while now, it's been known Israel wants to deal with what they view as the Iranian problem. And there's many who believe they've got Britain and the US signed on board for this. The advantage is the US already has numerous forces on either side. They've got troops in Afghanistan, they've got troops in Iraq, as well as numerous other bases around the place. To me, it's absolute insanity, though, and here's why. At some point, Russia and China have got to say no more, unless they want to be completely shut out of world politics. And Vladimir Putin, I don't think, is the type of guy who will back off on this one, and I think China would become involved as well. They may not be directly involved, but you might have a situation like you did, say, in Vietnam, where they supplied numerous weapons and support, and just seek to bleed America dry, much as America did to Russia and Afghanistan in the 80s. You got to realise Iran's not a small country, as you can see down here. Its population. This is on the CIA's fact book, which is in the public domain, hence why I'm using it. About 77 million, of which about almost 40 million of those are military capable, male and female. And if you don't think you'd be facing those sort of numbers, just remember when Iraq and Iran had their war that went on for quite a long while. Iraq had all the supplies of modern weaponry, yet Iran still held its own because they weren't afraid to do anything. They'd send loads of kids through a minefield to clear a minefield for the rest of their army. I mean, they just couldn't care. Iraq was no angels either. They used chemical weapons on the Iranians. The fact of the matter is, a war with Iran, I would believe, would be a world war. It would be devastating. It's not something I would like to see. It's not something I would support. It's not something I'd go fighting. They can get stuffed. We had a couple of years ago where they had a revolution or attempted revolution in Iran that was put down without mercy. People were shot in the street. You'll remember that female in her jeans who got shot. And maybe some of these people pushing for this Iranian war are thinking, well, if we invade it, we'll just do what we've done in other countries. There'll be happy lot of people to take over. But I think they're reading Iranians wrong. Most Iranians are very proud to be Iranians, to be Persian. And they're not going to allow a foreign government to rule them. It's not even a puppet government. they've tried it numerous times before. That they installed the Shah, and they got rid of him, and they'll keep doing that. They just will not. I don't believe Iran's a nation where you can put in a puppet government. I don't even believe Afghanistan's a place you can put in a puppet government, because the moment the US finally pull troops out of Afghanistan, if they ever do, you'll see the leadership change. There's no way, as if their own generals have said, who've had the balls to say it and then promptly been sacked, that Hamid Karzai has no support beyond the capital of Kabul. Once you get beyond there, it's the local warlords who run everything. What I could see and wouldn't be so worried about is if Israel did a tactical strike against Iran's perceived nuclear capabilities. And we may see that they've done it before, bombed a nuclear power plant with enriching uranium. Israel may attempt to do that again. I don't think they'd have too many problems. Various ways they could fly there. They're not going to have any problems flying over Iraq, because obviously the US is still there. They'd go and bomb it and go back. That would not necessarily escalate. You'd then have the Iranians respond, as they had previously, with some terrorist action through various terrorist groups in Israel, and that would be their payback for it. I support Iran in the sense that they say they want to have their own nuclear power, but in that case, I'd say, well, don't even use uranium. Don't even give them an excuse to say you're enriching this for nuclear weapons. Go with thorium. India's doing it. There's no reason Iran can't do it. Go with thorium reactor plants, and then no one can accuse you of making nuclear weapons. And you'll be on the cutting edge of technology. So that's the other option where you could avoid this altogether. But who knows what's really going on behind the scenes? All I can say is, if there is a war with Iran, that it would become one of the most bloody things we've ever seen. I don't think you could effectively control that country without wiping out half its population. And that's just the simple facts of the matter. Maybe the people who are planning this war don't care about that anyhow. They certainly haven't cared about how many people they've killed in other places. They're not concerned about civilian casualties. So, these evil people do the same there. But I personally don't see I don't see China and Russia sitting on the sidelines. I don't even see India sitting on the sidelines either for this one. Otherwise, if America were to dominate that as well, they'd dominate the world's oil supplies. All that you'd have left of Russia's own oil supplies, which are large. But, I mean, who would they sell to? They'd only have China to sell to then. Become very isolated. Because the Americans would dominate the world's oil supplies. So, be interesting to see what happens there. I was watching another YouTube channel, Jay Snip's channel, where he says they're going to put all margins on commodities up to 100%. And if they do so, all commodities are likely to crash, because you couldn't short them then. But so all these people have to be covering their margin calls, and the actual price of the commodities will crash right down, which would be a good thing to do if you were planning for a really quite major war, because then you could stockpile up on all the necessary oil, silver, gold, precious metals, industrial metals at a cheap cost, and build up your stockpiles and then be ready to go, say, in 6 months with all this stuff stockpiled ready to go. It'd be interesting to see if that's the case they're doing it. We'll see if it is actually happening on Monday, and we'll see what happens to the price of silver on Monday if it does crash. Certainly if it crashes below the $20 barrier, my only suggestion to you is try to find as much money as possible and buy as much as possible, because it'll eventually go back up, and if there is a major war on the thing, just remember every time they blow up the cruise missile, they're destroying hundreds of ounces of silver that was used to wire the whole thing together. So it's a good investment from that point of view. Alright, I'll end this now because it'll take forever to load up onto YouTube. What's your thoughts? Is this just a conspiracy theory that has no weight? Is it a possibility? Do you think I'm being overly pessimistic? What's your view on it? I'm no supporter of whatever his name is, leader of Iran. I'm not actually anti-Israel either. I'm not a Zionist. I'm not anti-Zionist. I believe in the individual sovereignty of nations. I don't believe in all. Or the big thing I'm against is a one world government and any push towards that. As for individual nations, well, if a certain bunch of people want to live in a certain location, so be it. If you have enemies, defend against them yourself. Don't expect the rest of the world to come to your aid all the time. So there we go. We'll see what happens. Silver Bull channel out, and keep stacking.